Just a decade or so ago, it was very uncommon for people to scroll while on a particular website. It wasn't uncommon for text to be very small in size since clients and designers wanted to squeeze in as much information as possible into very little screen real estate that was available to them. A lot of our habits changed as smartphones became more and more popular. Putting important content below the fold was a crime. Now it's almost the opposite. Context of the device, time, product, our habits, and many more factors influence how we design and digest type. But context is also tied with typefaces themselves. We all have had experiences that influence the way we perceive a particular typeface. A cowboy-like slab serif. Your immediate thought is most likely Western Hollywood. Blackletter is the old print typeface. You might associate it with old newspapers, tattoos, propaganda, hard rock and metal music. Depending on the context, you might have different associations, positive or negative ones. It's crucial to know that the way we see typefaces is not the same as non-designers see them. We might cringe at some choices, while non-designers see them as completely valid options. Every designer knows that Papyrus is an extremely hated option, and I personally share that view because it was so widely available and overused for wrong situations. Yet, it was the typeface used for the original Avatar movie. It is also a typeface you might see in weddings and wedding invitations. Non-designers might have different associations to it, and they might not always be negative. I think it's interesting to note that the second Avatar movie rebranded and used a different typeface. I assume they expected a massive backlash if they would have used Papyrus in 2022. Comic Sans is an example of another typeface that was butchered through years of wrong usage. It is a playful typeface, ideal for children, and it's even sometimes recommended to people with dyslexia. I've seen some research suggesting this might just be an urban legend that spread in the last decade, but haven't found a conclusive yes or no on the topic, so take it with a grain of salt. But seeing it used in professional logos, college presentations, formal notes, office instructions, and in many more areas of life, a general consensus is that it became a bad font, one of the worst even. The context influences our opinions, and opinions evolve with time. As a designer, you should stay on track with these. Typefaces like Montserrat and Poppins were virtually loved by designers as they were free to use and they look great. However, as more and more designers use them, especially beginners who stumbled upon an article online recommended it as a great font, they became less and less liked. A typeface by itself isn't necessarily bad, but it's hard for it to come back to a positive light once it has been overused. Most free and easily available typefaces might suffer the same fate. That doesn't mean you need to avoid free typefaces, but it is something we need to think about. A lot of brands want to have specific traits associated with them, and it's harder to achieve those with typefaces readily available to everyone. I do think that it's easier for a typeface to become hated if it's easily recognizable. Poppins and Montserrat are very geometric and bold, a few of the free ones with those traits. Lobster is extremely specific. Typefaces like Roboto and Open Sans seems to suffer less from these associations, even though they are most likely used even more than Poppins or Montserrat are. The more neutral the typeface looks, the less likely it is to fall under the hated and overused categories. But it is also impossible for a typeface to be completely neutral. It might have less personality than others, but that still creates certain associations for us, for the viewers. Helvetica is often referred to as the neutral typeface, but it has personality if you think about it. A light one feels luxurious, the bold one feels instructional and assertive. A regular user might not overanalyze the typefaces as much as we do, but they still create associations, even if those are made unconsciously. That's why typography matters. A lot of these decisions we make are invisible, they're influenced by previous experiences, and they're unconscious. And a professional designer needs to take all of those factors into consideration and carefully plan design around them. Use them to your advantage. It's all about being strategic and deliberate. It's about being consistent within your design, but also being consistent with all of the other designs in the world. It's not an easy task, but we as designers need to embrace that. When talking about the context of use of your own product, there are a handful of things you need to consider. A size and weight can help you make elements stand out more and less. Alignment can make your text more or less legible. A device the user is using influences their opinions too. Time of the day is a factor, location is too. A person on a train, sitting next to a stranger, with a phone in their hand won't experience your website the same way a teacher might, sitting in their home office looking at their computer in the evening. The more you think about your design decisions, the faster will you master type, and design too. Being a little uncomfortable is not a bad thing, and it will pass as you grow and gain confidence in your expertise.